Year 6. I hope you're well, and either you've listened to our Zoom already and taken part for today on the Tuesday, or you're about to. Today in English, we're going to be building on our understanding from previous years of how to punctuate and utilize direct speech within narratives, and we're also going to do a little bit of writing based on that. Furthermore, we will add to our understanding thus far of the Jungle Book. Okay, so we'll have a look at a little bit of extra reading relating to the Jungle Book. Okay, beginning to think about what a successful piece of punctuated speech would look like. We'd have speech marks or inverted commas within it, not within it, sorry, around it. As we're getting towards year 6, we'd obviously say inverted commas rather than speech marks. We'd remember that a new speaker needed to have a new line. We'd make sure that a comma separated the direct speech from what's called the reporting clause, and we'll look at that in a few minutes. And we would begin with a capital letter unless the piece of writing was interrupted, the piece of direct speech was interrupted by a reporting clause. Okay, more of that will make sense as we go through the session if you're worried about it at the moment, so don't be, please. Okay, just a little bit about thinking back to the Jungle Book. So what I'm going to do, and you've got this true-false table on your pack, in your pack, sorry. So if when I put these 4 statements up, if you can decide whether they're true or false, pause the video and write them in your pack, please. Okay, so the first one is Queen Victoria was dead when the Jungle Book was published. The second, the books were based on where the author started his life. The third one is Baby Mowgli follows Shere Khan, and that links to your first piece of reading from yesterday. And the second one is Mowgli appeared happy with the wolf pack, and that's the second piece of reading from yesterday. Okay, so read those through again, decide and place them in the true and false table that's part of your pack, please, and pause the video whilst you do that. Okay, guys, hopefully you've managed to identify that. Queen Victoria was not dead when the Jungle Book was published. She died in 1901, as we know, and the Jungle Book was published 7 years before that in 1894. The books were based on where Rudyard Kipling began his life, so they're based on the fact, in part, that he was brought up in India until he was 6 years old. Baby Mowgli does not follow Shere Khan, and we can see that that's not true because if we look at that passage right in Mowgli's brothers, we can see the stage directions within the passage say Shere Khan followed Baby Mowgli into the wolf cave. So if somebody's following a baby, we might know them to be a sinister character. If we think about a wolf following them, or a panther, sorry, following them. And then we've got Mowgli appeared happy with the wolf pack. Okay, and here we've got the second section of the writing. Now we've got the idea that the wolves were judged. We've got the idea at the end of this passage that Mowgli is appearing happy, and we can see that because it says, where are we? So where Mowgli sat laughing and playing with some pebbles. Okay, so those actions show somebody's happy within the text. Okay, so that's our idea of how we can see from that text. Okay, just a little bit of vocabulary. Now, this is your second task for today. So after you've done your true and false table, I'd like you to have a look at the word punctuating. Okay, have a think about what punctuating means. Have a think about where you might hear elements of the word. So if you're thinking about punk or puncture, punctuate. Okay, what happens to a tire if it's punctured? And can you try and complete the grid for punctuating? Have a think about that, please. Okay, pause the video whilst you're doing that if you'd like to, but if not, just have a go at completing that within your work. Okay, and then we'll progress to the book of the lesson, which is around direct speech. Now, in this PowerPoint, I've referred to them as speech marks. Obviously, we can refer to them normally as inverted commas. Now, speech marks, when you're seeing a piece of writing, hug the spoken word. So they go around either side of it. Okay, they don't really work at the moment with COVID and all, but they hug it because they'd be around it. Okay, so they're around it. Okay. And we've got this question. What will he do for us? He is not of our tribe, being footless and with most evil eyes. Okay, and we've got this statement that one of the characters within the Jungle Book stated. Okay, so that's what one of the characters in this instance. We'll find out who it will be. Bagheera. Okay, so what will he do for us? He is not of our tribe, being footless and with most evil eyes, said Bagheera. Now, you can see those inverted commas before the word what and after the word eyes. They are the speech marks. Okay? Then what we've got is a second element, which is said Bagheera, and we'll find out about that in just a second. Now, each speaker, when we're writing a piece of direct speech, has a new line. So if we look at this, what will he do for us? He is not of our tribe, being footless and with most evil eyes, said Bagheera. He's very old and very cunning. Above all, he's always hungry, said Baloo hopefully. Promise him many goats. He sleeps for a full month after he is once awakened. He may be asleep now, and even were he awake, what if he would rather kill his own goats? Bagheera, who did not know much about Kai, was naturally suspicious. Then in that case, thou and I together, old hunter, might make him see reason. Here Baloo rubbed his faded brown shoulder against the panther, and they went off to look for Kai, the rock python. Okay, here we haven't followed the rule, and therefore it's tricky to see who's speaking at which point. Realistically, each speaker should start on a new line, okay? Where I find it quite challenging here to understand until I get the colour who is speaking. Okay? So really, it's much clearer with the second way of representing it, where we can see now that he is very old. He sleeps. This is a new speaker each time. Then in that case, so each of those are new speakers. Okay? It's a lot clearer when we have new speaker, new line. Remember, when you're writing, you're not just writing because your teachers told you had to. You're writing because you want to be read. Whether it's a story, a newspaper report, a letter, whatever it might be, you've got an audience and you need to help your audience read your writing. Otherwise, they won't bother. Sometimes. Teachers will, but some people might not. Okay. Now, the comma, the use of the comma to separate direct speech from the reporting clause is something that as a class we've struggled with in the past. Now, if you see before the inverted commas, the second inverted commas after the word eaten, we've got that comma. He has not eaten, comma, said Baloo with a grunt of relief. Okay. Said Baloo is that reporting clause. It's the clause within the sentence which explains who and how they're speaking. In this instance, Baloo, it's said. It's a simple speech verb. A lot of you use that rich vocabulary to demonstrate a variety of different speech verbs, possibly embellished with an adverb to show who's speaking as part of the reporting clause. So it could be shouted Baloo. It could be screamed Baloo angrily. But as long as we've got that comma before the inverted commas, we are showing that we're punctuating the direct speech correctly. We are hunting, comma, said Baloo carelessly. So here we've got that adverb of carelessly. Give me permission to come with you, said Kaa. Okay, and again, that comma before the inverted commas. The only exception for that is if the direct speech ends in an exclamation mark or a question mark. So if it ends like that, we don't need that comma. Okay. Hunting, cried Baloo, sitting up on his haunches. And I like this sentence because it's shown for you capable writers who are really, really trying to extend your sentences. We've got that action element of sitting up on his haunches. So we know that Baloo is no longer down, but he's sitting up on his haunches, and that shows that he's extra interested. So we're showing as well as telling what's going on. Oh, Baloo, what dost thou do here? The question that Kaa's asking means that because it's a question, we don't need that comma before the second set of inverted commas. Okay. Always beginning with a capital letter unless the sentence has been interrupted. Okay. So I am, said Kaa. I am. I would always be a capital letter, but even if this was a different word at the beginning of the sentence, it would begin with a capital letter. I am, said Kaa with a little pride. But then we've got a fair length, a fair length. Now, the lowercase a before the fair is because the speech, the direct speech has been punctuated, it's been broken up by the reporting clause. So said Kaa with a little pride is that reporting clause. And again here we've got and after the word Kaa. So I came very near to falling on my last hunt, said Kaa. And that and has been interrupted by a reporting clause. Okay? So the direct speech there is in blue. But we can see the green reporting clause. And because the green reporting clause comes in the middle of the direct speech, we therefore follow with the second section of the direct speech of a lowercase opening letter. Okay, so those rules. Speech marks hugging the spoken words. New speaker, new line. Really important on that one, guys, because people just don't bother reading it if it's too hard to read. Comma, separating the direct speech from the reporting clause, unless it's an exclamation point or a question mark, and the direct speech beginning with a capital letter. Right, guys, those are the rules. We can see the rules again on this screen. I'd like you to look at these 4 pieces of direct speech and see which one is correct and see if you can figure out why. Pause it while you identify which one. But make sure in your head or talking to mum or dad or anybody at home, you explain why one is correct. So pause your video, please, while you do that. Okay, guys, what we're going to do now is we're going to go through each one and see what's good about them. So with the blue one, they've got some punctuation. Not correct for direct speech, but they've got terminal punctuation with those question marks and full stops. So I'm pleased that a year 3 has included those. They've forgotten their inverted commas, so they're not a great year 3, year 4, year 2 writer for Mr. Spring, but they've given it a good go and they've got responded, so it's an interesting verb. That's about it. And capital letters. Next one. We're looking at this second one. We've remembered that Tim should be on a new line. Tim's responding, so therefore we need new speaker, new line. Okay, so the second one's remembered that element of it. Better. Third one. We've remembered our inverted commas. Woohoo! Yay, we're on the right track a little bit. Okay, now again, pretty good year 2, year 3 writer. Yeah, we're getting there now. Okay, we've got our inverted commas. We've got our new speaker, new line. We're getting there. Third element that the final one has got that we've got a comma separating the direct speech from the reporting clause. So here the reporting clause is before the direct speech. It can be either side of the direct speech. But we've also got that capital letter for Y and for its to show that that's the opening element of that piece of direct speech. Okay, so just remember those elements and then you'll see that black one, the bottom left one, is the best one. Okay, if it were quadrant, it'd be the third quadrant. Okay, so that piece of writing is the best one. Okay, your task today, year 6. I'll move my face down because I've got over Private Peaceful. We've read a fair bit of Private Peaceful, and you will have read another element of it on Monday, where we've looked at something. And what I'd like you to do is today try and use your knowledge of Private Peaceful to have a bit of direct speech, to write a piece of direct speech. So I've picked a passage out of the story. So in bed at night, our Grandma Wolf story was changing every time we told it. Now the Colonel and Grandma Wolf didn't have human children at all. Instead, she gave birth to giant mice children, all of them with great long tails and twitchy whiskers. But after what she did next, we decided that even that horrible fate was too good for her. So we've got that passage. Now, we're going to write where Charlie and his brother Tommy and his brother Charlie are having this conversation where they're having their nighttime story. And this is their nighttime story where they're being a bit rude about Grandma Wolf because they don't like her. And they're making her into a character in a story where she's either a villain or she's a character where bad things happen to her. And here we've got, their whiskers would be covered in muck, filthy, dirty muck. I chuckled to Charlie whilst checking our bedroom door wasn't ajar. Now we've got the correct punctuation, we've got the comma before the inverted commas, and we've got we've got Tommy chuckling. Now, because the narrator of the story of Private Peaceful is Tommy, I've put I in there. You can only do that if the direct speech you're reporting is taking place from the speaker. It's being reported by the speaker. Now, even within that, we've still got this whilst checking our bedroom door wasn't ajar. Ajar means when it's a little bit open. Now, they wouldn't want their bedroom door to be ajar because Charlie and Tommy wouldn't want to be heard by their mother. Because although she might agree with their views on Grandma Wolf, she would not allow them to speak ill of her. So that action shows how they're feeling. We're showing still. As we carry on, Charlie smiled. Charlie's going to be a new speaker, therefore we have a new speaker, new line. Charlie smiled and then nodded, it should say. Sorry, that's a mistake. Whilst and she'd call them all ridiculous names. He stopped speaking as he was laughing too much. So he started with and. So and she'd call them all ridiculous names. And he's laughing too much. So we've got that stopping of speaking. The reporting clause was already happening. And he's stopping speaking like snot rag or raspberry face. So this second element of it has been split by that clause in the midst of it, and therefore we have a lowercase for the like, okay, like, because the sentence, the main direct speech is continued across those two elements. We've got a set of inverted commas for each section of the direct speech, so the orange section has also got its own pair of inverted commas, but we have got a lowercase l for like because the clause has been split.